Hi everybody, it's Nikki, and I am here with another video that's my personal experience, not to be used as medical advice. I walked into an empty house, which was like, yes, and I'm getting ready to exercise, but I'm cooking up a good balance, so I'm waiting for that, getting close, so I'll try to make this short. But I wanted to make a video the other day. I'm doing some where I'm capturing some auto mode flaws because I'm seeing a lot of them because I'm tracking numbers. And this one I didn't even bring my chart for, but it was a big one, and in fact it's actually changed my routine, so I figured I would come on and give you guys a quick summary of it. Bottom line is I've been doing my calibration factor in the morning, and I've been doing my calibration factor in the morning because I was trying to use that to get through my morning routine so that I wasn't going high-low, doing all the bouncing around. Then I had an idea because somebody asked how could they calculate their calibration factor at stable. I want to help. I keep thinking, I don't even know how I managed to get mine at stable, but I know what mine is now, but I don't know how to help somebody else get theirs. And then it occurred to me that if you've been in auto mode overnight because you wake up, at a 140, a 145, 160, whatever it is, maybe that's the great time to do it because maybe you're stable. So I began to look for my calibration factor in the morning to see if I would keep seeing the stable number. And I was surprised to see over and over again a high calibration factor in the morning. Even when my blood sugar was a 165, or 150 or 145, whatever. So I didn't get it. And in fact, it upset me, making me think that there was something wrong with the calibration factor. But so far, my factor has not lied to me. It's just a matter of whether or not I understand it and trust it. And this is another great example that it was not lying. And it was high because my blood sugar because my glucose in my interstitial fluid was high. I'll tell you why in a second. So 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, whatever it was, I was looking for that number and it just didn't, it wasn't sitting well. Then I realized during the day, I'm trying to track my calibration factor during the day, and I'm doing it in auto mode, and that's why nothing makes sense. So during the day, I got out. Next morning, I got out of auto mode at 6:30 in the morning and tried to track my calibration factor. It started off a little high. I timed it. I took my time. I drank my coffee slowly. I waited. I did all the insulin, and my calibration factor kept pushing up. And I said, something is wrong with this scenario because I have the insulin on board. I haven't even had the coffee. And my sugar's not even dropping. I mean, nothing about it made any sense. And then I went, I've been in auto mode all night. So I realized I couldn't do this during the day, but I forget that I've been in it all night, and now I'm attempting to use this factor. So I decided I'd go back and take a look at my graph screen and see what auto mode had done for me over the night. Now, I would like to start off by saying I'm using auto mode overnight still because I love what it does for me over the night, but now I'm using it slightly differently. What it did over that particular night was between midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning, it gave me minimum delivery. So that was my first red flag. I said, okay, that's a big chunk. I know that's going to cause a rise. But here is at 6:30 a.m., my blood sugar is a 160, give or take, or 150. That's not the rise I expect to see. And it's got a big calibration factor, but 4.5 hours later, or 6.5 hours later, whatever, just 4.5 hours later, it didn't quite make sense. So then I looked at what it did after that, and that was the part that really, really surprised me. And it was because after the minimum delivery, and it didn't go the full 2.5 hours, it gave me 2 hours of minimum delivery, and then for the following 3 hours, it gave me a drastically reduced basal rate. And as I said, no problem, it's doing that to help me from crashing, and that's cool. I don't miss crashing at night. But I realized that around 4:30 in the morning, I was seeing this really high calibration factor. So I said, okay, this morning, stuff, especially, I thought it was all about the coffee. I couldn't figure out what was going on. But now I'm starting to think that my sugar, that's my potential in the morning, and it's because I've gone, hours at a reduced rate. And in fact, that particular night, when I went ahead and averaged everything, including the 2 hours of minimum delivery plus the 3 hours of the reduced, it equaled 5 hours of 50% of my basal rate. Now, to put things in perspective, I exercise at a 50% basal rate, and I exercise fairly hard. And I'm not exercising while I'm sleeping. So the idea that this thing has me, and I would never do 5 hours of a 50% basal rate, even with exercise. So this was it was crazy. And I realized it was doing what it had to do to keep me from dropping. Fantastic. but then it was doing it too long and I just needed my insulin back and I wasn't getting all of it. So from that night, the next night I set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning. A little bit obsessive, I get it. Except for now I have a nice routine, so I'm glad I did. I set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning. I tested my calibration factor. It was high. It was a 7.1, 7.2. That's a very high number for me. So I got out of auto. I didn't know if I was going to crash or not. I woke up at about a 135, 140 with a calibration factor of a 5.7. And I'm like, that's near stable. That's exactly what I thought would happen before. Next morning, same thing. I set it for 4:30. And at this point, I'm now 4 mornings into it, whatever it is. I'm setting my alarm for 4:30 in the morning. I'm not getting up. I'm not, calculating things now. I'm just getting out of auto and going back to bed. And for 4 mornings in a row, my calibration factor has been no higher than a 5.8. And this morning was about a 5.3. So I knew to start my coffee a little faster. And one of these days, I'm going to make this video and show you guys my numbers because they're really good. And I'm really proud and I'm doing really well. But not today because I got to go exercise. So thanks for watching.